Pike's pushed more and forward up ahead. He's got out of line. It's now Pike going to have a go at Werrell. Don't push him off. He's in the championship fight. Jack Werrell chasing down Carl Jacklin. Further down, Rob Williams and Chris Barnes.
Sensational run outside line now though for the heavy braking zone. Around the outside goes the Audi R8.
Look how much Miller's come back into play. Exactly. Miller's still such up. He's not on second and change. All of a sudden, Miller's back in play.
Coming down.
Does he have it?
Medeiros is going to get it.
Oh, look at the toss! He haven't got it!
He's on the outside line though, going into the fastest corner on the circuit. Surely this can't work.
Dominic Ligner has got a sensational run outside line now though for the heavy braking zone. Around the outside goes the Audi R8.
Look how much Miller's come back into play. Exactly. Miller's still such up. He's not on second and change. All of a sudden, Miller's back in play.
Can Barry do it? Big Barry's going to do it. Big Barry!
Okie dokie, welcome everybody back for some more sim racing for simpletons, action-packed round 3 live from the circuit Gilles Villeneuve in Canada. I am the Dean Biggles, and joining me in the commentary box will be the one and amazing Jack Sweeney. How are you doing this evening, sir?
Doing fantastic, yeah. Looking forward to some more brilliant racing here for the SR4S. Yeah, a brilliant circuit, of course, the circuit Gilles Villeneuve here in Montreal, Canada. Yeah, semi-permanent circuit, tight, it's twisty, and should be a lot of fun in these Formula 3 cars.
And they'll be getting underway for their lone qualifying session practically right now. Before we do start covering that, Mr. Zach, I think we should let everybody know how the championship standings are currently taking place.
Yeah, well, coming into today, of course, we've had our 2 rounds, both at Zolder and at Suzuka. It's David Holland leading the way off the back of 2 victories. Mackenzie Roon and Mod Kiko, the top 3. She's done a fantastic job up there in 3rd. Carson Keane rounds off in 4th, matched on points, it must be said, with Daniel Whitfield rounding off the top 5. As of course, this early on in the season, we are expecting some incredibly close gaps. Then comes the Norwegian Petter Fedding, Andy Yeager, Brian Long, Alex Rivera, and Seth MacFarlane, the top 10. And there you can see the rest of the field, the likes of Ridgway, Kalau, Dutton and Zyke, our 14 kart field here today. Dean, of course, coming into this race, we're ticking on in the championship. It's only 8 rounds long, and we're already on to round 3. So some important moves to be made in the championship, particularly trying to top the dominance of David Holland.
It's exactly right. The dominance of David Holland, not letting the man get too far up in the points. Do have a little bit of a technical issue at the moment, so I will have to pause the audio. We'll still try to keep the pictures up as much as possible. There's something that I've just done a little bit of a boo-boo with earlier. So we'll be back in just a minute.
Apologies, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, we are still here. We are still covering the Sim Racing for Simpletons Formula 3 Championship here at the circuit Gilles Villeneuve. Unfortunately, we have run into a couple of technical difficulties, meaning, unfortunately, we won't be able to show any cars on circuit for the qualifying session. We can sort of give you as many live updates as we can. As it stands, David Holland, surprise, surprise, is topping the timesheets on a 1:30.4. Only a couple of tenths of a second back is Mackenzie Roon in second. Then comes Carson Keenan. Alexander Rivera returning after a week off last time out at Suzuka. It's still myself, Zach Sweeney, with Dean Biggles alongside me. And Dean, I suppose we're going to have to go radio mode for the duration of qualifying and then bring them all to the action for the race.
Yes, I will. Close your eyes and imagine the cars going around this fantastic track in the lake, and of course all those tunnels are underneath it as well. Lots of them. Carson Keen just went a little bit quicker, but then David, hold on, just replaced it back on the timesheets with a 1:27.77. David's in the 127 clubs. Everybody else is in the 1:30 or 1:31 club. Mackenzie Roon currently in P3.
Yeah, well, so far proven to be an incredibly close qualifying session. David Holland is just absolutely flying out in front. For those that haven't joined us here so far for the duration of the championship, the first 2 rounds, obviously, when we went to the Circuit Zolder and, of course, to Suzuka, David Holland was able to run away with things, essentially, towards the front of the field. He takes 2 victories, alongside, I think, maybe 2 poles as well. Mackenzie Roon, of course, in second, the reigning champion, again, improving on his form and returning again for season number 2, giving him a good fight, but again, just needs that little bit extra of an edge if he wants to top the Flying Dutchman out in front. And of course, Mod Kiko, Carson Keen, Dan Whitfield round off the top 5. And well, yeah, there is still plenty of racing action to decipher over the course of the very, very long season that we have got. Of course, it is here at the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. In a week's time, we'll go to Brands Hatch, Charlotte Course Roval, the Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps with Watkins Glen, and the brand new addition to the iRacing service of Aragon all the way in September for race 8 of season number 2. So plenty of action still to come, but David Holland on top form. The only driver still to get himself into the 1:29s, just showing his sheer and incredible pace.
Should be just over approaching 7 minutes of the qualifying, which will leave it down to about 3 minutes and change to go on that one. Mackenzie Roon squeezing in P2 currently in a moment, pushes Carson Keane. Home track hero, of course, the Canadian driver, Carson Keane. This should have all the screaming Canadian fans shouting at him every time he navigates his way around this tricky circuit, of course. And I love the casino straight way, but no DRS that's enabled in these F3 cars.
Of course there isn't. Yeah, these are very back to basics. Of course, the Dallara Formula 3 machine here on iRacing. It's a fun car, low, obviously in its I suppose the technicality of it, the advancements, very simplistic wings. It's got that massive air intake on the side to try and get as much air into the engine as possible. But apart from that, it's just your bog standard junior Formula car. So nothing too special. And as Dean was saying there, nothing really too special in terms of the DRS. So you are relying solely on the engine's power and of course the power of slipstream, which should hopefully make for some great racing, because quite a decent chunk of the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve is spent flat out and on some form of a straight line. So yeah, plenty of opportunities for you to get yourself into the mix and work your way forward as much as you possibly can, which hopefully should make for some fantastic racing over the course of our race here today, which of course we will get into as soon as we can. We are closing into the closing stages of the qualifying session. As it stands, it's the top two in the championship, Holland and Roon running off the front row. But yeah, plenty of action hopefully to unpack over the course of the session, and hopefully we can maybe see a close in that championship standings between Holland and Roon to really spice up the championship as we approach the halfway mark.
Hello and welcome everybody in the chat. We saw you out there, Phil, across the pond. It's evening. Well aware that it's Zachary and myself. The description is a little bit wrong. I'll get that one updated later on. The Joseph out there says hello. We spoke about this last week or the week before, didn't we, about these aren't the modern versions of the Formula 3 machines that would have the DRS in the iRacing course. I think it was, can you remember what year it was? Somebody told us that specifically in the chat last week or the week before, what the particular year model these ones are.
I believe they would be somewhere in the region maybe of 2016, 2017.
Seems strange why it hasn't been updated in all that time, isn't it? It's just
well, I've just looked up a picture of a 2017 Formula 3 car, and it has got the massive air intake on the side. And then when we go to 2018, let's have a look. Still the massive air intake on the side. Actually no, that's still 2017. So we'll go to 19. So I think they are based off the 2017 version for the iRacing service. Yeah, it is 2017. Boom! Look at that. It's almost like I know what I'm talking about, or at least I pretend to know what I'm talking about. But yeah, it would be nice to sort of get a bit of an update, obviously with the halos and things, but fundamentally, really, they're still a Formula 3 car. There's not really many major changes that can be made. If you update it from 2017 to 2023, you're going to have a halo, you're going to get rid of the air intake. But realistically, they're going to drive similar, they're going to race similarly. So yeah, I'd say it's probably just going to be a little bit better to keep the 2017 version. Less stress and less money having to be spent by people buying new cars, I suppose. Of course, they have added the Formula 4 car with the halo. That's one of the newer versions of the Dallara Formula 4 machine. However, qualifying has drawn itself to a close. We'll run you through the grid order. It's David Holland, championship leader, alongside his championship rival of Mackenzie Roon on row 1. Behind that, Carson Keane and Robert Ridgway round off row 2. Dan Whitfield rounds off the top 5, joined by three-time race winner of season 1, Alexander Rivera on row 3. Brian Long, Andy Yeager just in behind 7th and 8th, with Modelise Kiko and Seth MacFarlane to the top 10. Then comes the Norwegian of Petter Vedding, Guy Kiao, Colin McAllister and Dominic Angelicio on the 7th and final row of the grid. We are moments away from getting ourselves underway here in Canada, Dean, and hopefully plenty of racing action to come over the course of the next 27 laps or so.
It'd be good if we actually find it. We'll get to see these cars that have been on track. We apologise for not showing anything during the qualifying session, but you only missed 10 minutes and you can see the cars exactly where they're going to be forming on the grid right now, and see whether or not Mackenzie Rune's going to try to challenge anything to David Holland, who'll be starting on that pole position there on the outside. Inside, close to the pit wall, which will turn into that first turn 1 as we get ready to go racing.
Yeah, not long left to go at all, and we eagerly wait, of course, just waiting for a couple more people to ready themselves up. Robert Ridgway will be in 4th. You can see Dean Hopton there down in 15th. He's not on the track, and I think will extend us all the way to the actual where iRacing ticks down to 0, because obviously he can't ready up and join the field, because that would make for a very explosive start to this race. So we'll eagerly wait. And still waiting, I believe, for 4th place man of Robert Ridgway as well. They're in 4th place as well. So still waiting for him to get himself in. And, well, welcome into everyone joining us on the JP Broadcasting YouTube channel. Can see a number of you in the chat joining us already. Dean, yeah, what do we expect on this opening lap here at Circuit Gilles?
Oh, you've got to take some of the opportunities, don't you, before the race does look at one. Give it flat out and let it go. But also, don't be too crazy and risk it for the biscuit as we go racing.
Here we go. Round number 3 of the Sim Racing for Simpletons Formula 3 Championship starts in fantastic fashion. Mackenzie Rune on the outside. Championship leader David Holland takes to the inside. Running their way through quite nicely, actually. David Holland really wide. There's a crash in the background, unfortunately. I think Seth MacFarlane's had an incident with Guy Kiao. Side by side for the lead, though. Mackenzie Rune picks his way past David Holland. An uncharacteristic mistake into turn number 2 sees the American catapult himself into 1st place, and David Holland having to settle for 2nd.
Absolutely amazing, absolutely amazing. You can see at the moment that was an opportunity for Mackenzie Rune to take that, as you saw David Holland going a little bit too deep into the corner. He will seize that. Luckily got plenty of time to go on for this one. We'll get an idea of the replay in a minute. Keep on going. Also, Alex Rivera up position for the 222 machine. Currently sitting in P5 as they're starting to file their way into the regular single line column.
Yeah, of course, just setting themselves down, which is a great thing. Just, you know, calming themselves down, calming their nerves down, and showing that the lap 1 nerves have definitely settled a little bit. Colin McAllister looking to the inside of Petter Vedding, and you can see the number 4 machine picks his way up and into the top 10. So a decent start, it must be said, for most of the drivers involved. Of course, McAllister moving his way up 3 places into 10th, but now we get to see a bit of action towards the front. You can see side by side there, Alex Rivera trying to move his way past Robert Ridgway and into the top 4, but David Holland dropping back on that opening lap is going to be very, very costly, because at a circuit, you know, that's a semi-permanent street circuit here at CGV, it's going to be quite difficult, I think, for him to get himself past. And of course, Mackenzie Rune is not going to be waiting for an opportunity to take a race win from him. Alex Rivera not waiting for an opportunity and an invitation to find his way into 4th place. He does all the hard work by himself. Up now ahead of Robert Ridgway, and now in pursuit potentially of Carson Keane for the podium.
Fantastic overtaking. That is one of the places you can get it done if you're confident on the braking and you're confident on the accelerator. Nice and steady, wins the race. Says, don't hit the walls! That's like that. That's not the World Champions other way too. We saw one of the drivers, World Champions, of course, is the final couple of turns. Take some victims. Let's have a look at the start of the race real quick while we have a brief moment. And there it is. Great launch. And who got bogged down completely? The green machine there. And there's the tap, and there's the turn around, and just for everybody. That was Seth, wasn't it? And Peter Herving. Peter,
yes.
Reading.
Yeah, Peter Vedding.
Vedding, that's it.
He finds his way to the inside of turn 1. There is a gap there, but he's not committed enough. He's thought about it, got himself alongside, and then thought, nah, you know what, I'm not going to do it. If he'd have just committed, there might have been a little bit of contact, but it's that hesitancy that really does let you down as a driver. If you're going to go for it and commit and own the fact that you're going to go for the move. If things go wrong, then, you know, it probably actually will end up better than what we just saw there. That lack of confidence, him being too cautious, actually ended up causing the thing that he was trying so hard to avoid. We took ourselves onto lap 3 of 30. Mackenzie Roon leads David Holland from just over half a second, which again is a very good gap, and showing some fantastic pace at the start of this race is Mackenzie Roon. A 1 minute 33 was his last lap time compared to a 1:30.8 from David Holland. So definitely a bit of discrepancy there. Mackenzie Roon showing his mettle, showing why he deserved that Season 1 championship, and David Holland maybe not on his day so much so far, but still a long way to go in terms of this race.
Might have had another crash. Sorry, my microphone is a little bit quiet. I'll get that one sorted out in just a second. I just want to see if Dominic has had a moment here in the wrong stuff racing machine. So we get the trees out of the road. This is into the final. Well, that's not going to be a very good angle at that one. See if the blimp's going to help us out with that. No, it won't. There's a spin. We'll go back and have a look at that one from a spin perspective. Sorry about that one. We'll have to get those trees chopped down there. Zachary, get out there. Ooh, chopped.
Yeah, I'm no lumberjack. No lumberjack. We'll take a look. Dominic Angelicchio has come back and has carried way too much speed into the chicane, over the curb, rear end's lifted up. A slight downhill run as well. I think he's caught out someone else as well for good measure. Slight downhill run. Rear end ever so slightly lifts up a little bit more, becomes a bit destabilised, and unfortunately sees himself facing the wrong way. I think Guy Kiao maybe have made a similar mistake. Yeah, target fixation. He's basically been focusing so much as Dan Whitfield has made a mistake and takes to the runoff area through the final chicane. But, you know, you're focusing on the car in front, and essentially you're copying what they do. You're following the same line. So if they make a mistake, chances are you're going to make a mistake as well. Let's see what's caused Dan Whitfield's incursion down at the final chicane. Way too late on the brakes, I think. Gone for the move. Has he locked the rears? Yes, he has. And he's finding himself backwards. Spun around and then over the sausage curve. Back to the front, though, because Mackenzie Roon under a little bit of pressure.
And here we go. You're starting to reel in Mackenzie Roon, as you can see. Right now, we're looking at the car there, David Holland for the Delta Sport U4K. Not getting it done just there, my friend, but look at that sensational speed. I was going to say at the temple of speed. See the scrub marks to the right-hand side? That's where some of the drivers have gambled. And you'd be gambling your way, of course, down this out of the La Ping and straight down the casino straight. You can see the power slide out of both the cars actually as they get the power down for this long straightaway.
It's all about maximising your straight line speed as best as you possibly can and building up the RPMs and making the most of the slipstream. How close is David Holland to Mackenzie Roon? He's pulled himself alongside. Actually, it's the inside line for the final chicane. David Holland retakes the race lead here on lap number 4, heading our way on to lap number 5. Mackenzie Roon, I'd argue maybe needed to defend that a little bit more, and he's not quite able to get himself back to the inside line for an immediate counter-attack either. So, yeah, if I was Mackenzie Roon, I'd have fought that a bit harder, because David Holland is the last driver you want to give a clear track to.
Oh, absolutely. Hopefully everything is a lot better there for the audio quality. I just need to project some more. This battle between these two is still growing. We have Mr. Rivera there trying to catch the back there of Mr. Keane within, I was to say, DRS range. About the DRS, such about a P3, P4. A couple of drivers have gone into pit road. That's Dominique Angelin Chio for the wrong stuff. I always get that wrong. Peter had another little moment here. Let's have a look. Norwegian driver. Was this a similar moment that we saw earlier? Oh no, it's just a little bit of... Ooh. Ooh. That's going to be a little bit scary as you're coming around that corner, having a look at a car facing the wrong direction, but luckily he did not collect anybody else.
Yeah, that is always helpful as to not ruin anyone else's race. If you're going to ruin someone's race, at least just ruin your own and don't get anyone else involved in your funny business. We're already a sixth of the way through this race. You can see in the top left of your screen, lap number 5 of 30. We have got a mandatory pit stop along the way as well. Shouldn't be for tyres, just a splash and dash in terms of fuel. These Formula 3 cars with their reduced fuel tanks not quite able to make it to the end, but with two very, very close drivers pushing the limits in terms of the Wall of Champions. Slight little brushes from the pair of them, and that's giving me mixed signals. So who is it going to be in a few weeks' time when we go to Aragon? David Holland, Mackenzie Roon, someone else taking the championship? Let us know, of course, in the comments and obviously in the live chat for those of you watching along. As it stands, David Holland has got a very, very good hold on this race and is bit by bit clearing his way ahead of Mackenzie Roon. And that's going to be a trap that Roon's got to be very, very careful not to fall into, because I'd say as soon as he loses that slipstream, David Holland is just going to do what he does best and hopefully try and bridge a gap for himself and trying to consolidate that race lead.
He has the fastest lap currently at the moment, which is a 27.7. The only driver into the 29.7. The only driver once again, just like in the qualifying session, gets some breaks into the 29. So practically the same pace he did during qualifying, which is impressive to do qualifying laps with race pace. But Mackenzie's still hanging in there, which is crucial. Likely, this is the battle at the moment there of Alex Rivera, who's up 2 positions in this race there, and on the back of the hometown hero, Carson Keane. So you're gonna be careful if you want to upset those Canadian fans at the moment of Carson Keane. See if Alex can do something about it for the self-entitled Muppets racing team.
Yeah, he's probably got one of the best team names out there, and the 222 machine, as I say, multiple-time race winner over the course of Season 1, would have been a great championship protagonist had it not been for a lack of attendance. Those that he did compete in, he was at the front of, and, well, as it stands, he's come back for another round and is looking for another podium. He's on the back of Carson Keane and looking to spoil the home hero's day, inside, outside, no way through as it stands into the first chicane. However, Carson Keane going to be feeling the pressure, and Alexander Rivera going to be searching for a way past.
Great racing across the board, just a couple little moments, but you know, I'm just a little bogged down from the start. I'm out of the race there, Dean Hopton, so thankfully they retired my car. Apologies about that one. You click the wrong button and you get penalised big time in iRacing, but it doesn't happen very often. Main thing is we got the pictures up on the screen and we can see the action. There's a power slide once again, almost grazed the fence. Alex from getting a Sharpie out there and writing his name there for the fans. Actually, it was Keane, wasn't it, that was doing that? Ooh. That's, I think we should ride on board at the moment, isn't it? From Alex's point of view right there. Just have a look at how difficult and how much fun it is to drive around circuit. Gilles Villeneuve. See the slide there. This could be a possible overtaken opportunity. No, it won't. Alex had to lift off in the power himself. Now down the Casino Straight. What are you going to be betting on, my friend? 3 or 4?
Well, we'll find out. The 222 looking incredibly close to Carson Keane into the final chicane, and he's not quite close enough on this occasion because, again, not quite the heaviest braking zone, but a fantastic run out. Look at that late apex, puts his foot down. Alex Rivera in the 222 pulls out to the right-hand side of your screen. That's the left-hand side of the circuit, and it will turn into the inside line for turn number 1. Is Carson Keane going to fight it the long way round? He breaks late, but the home hero's got no answer to the flying 222 machine of Alex Rivera, who moves his way up onto the podium. Next up is the lead fight between David Holland and Mackenzie Roon, of which David Holland bridging the gap to 1.1 seconds, and Mackenzie Roon's in trouble if he wants to win.
Fantastic overtaking. It's close to the wall racing. Let's have a look at what's happened to Colin McAllister. The tortoise and the hairpins. Now, has he been caught out by the hairpin? This is Lupping.
Ah.
There it is. Too much on the loud paddle car disagrees, and that's losing a position there to Daniel Whitfield. Back to the live action. So David Holland has got that one. Sorry, yeah. David Holland has got that gap now. He's built it up, putting his banker laps in one by one. Getting the job done.
Moving his way forward. And, well, moving his way away from Mackenzie Roon is David Holland. Lap 8 of 30, ticking our way towards a third of the way through. There is that fight. Carson Keane, he's got one chance, I'd say, in the slipstream if he wants to launch a counter-attack on Alex Rivera. If that's obviously their aim, maybe they could close the gap for Mackenzie Roon. I mean, that last lap, or their best lap, I should say, Alex Rivera is quicker than Mackenzie Roon. So, has he got the pace in order to go and catch a 30.7 for Mackenzie Roon, a 30.8 for Alex Rivera? That's including an overtake for good measure as well. So Rivera definitely got some good pace, but he's got a big gap of 3 seconds to go and catch.
Let's keep an eye on those times as well, too. So I'm just going to show you in a second what the last lap times were. Give you an indication of what everybody seems to be pushing at the moment. See a couple of personal bests there from Ridgeway. It to us has been a bit quiet there is Elise Keiko, isn't it? Keiko. She's
Keiko, yes.
3 positions gained and just having a little bit of a quiet race in P6 at the moment, a little lonely race.
Yeah, but she's always been so consistent as Model East Keiko. So far this season, of course, she's been up there in the, I believe she's gotten I think she got 4th place last time out at Suzuka, and then obviously potentially a 6th or a 5th place at Circuit Zolder. So always up there in the top 5. Never really the quickest driver. And that's, I'm sure she's not going to take any disrespect to that. I'm sure she knows that she's not necessarily lighting the timer sheets ablaze or anything like that. But she's always there. She's always clean. Her aim for this season is to end on the lowest total incident points of any driver. That is entirely doable for Kiko. She got such a good, wise head at keeping herself out of trouble and just picking her way through the carnage ever, lap by lap, making the most of any mistakes in front of her, putting some clean, decent lap times in, and that is always the key to success. And so far it has seen her into 3rd place in the championship, albeit now she's going to lose that to Carson Keane, who's a couple of places ahead of her. Not least Kiko having a really nice consistent season.
Yeah, we can go back and have a look at the race restart. Well, there's not a great action here, and from Mod 778 machine, look at that. That's the bogged down car ahead. She navigates her way safely through the middle, and she gets another position here into turn 1. Doesn't look like she's going to send up the inside there, as long as you can get the exit speed. There's the accident that happens behind. Then gets on the power side by side here. So again, we get stuck behind those trees there for a second to get a better angle. And that'll be the run. And gets that position. She'll get the inside line here, and then bang. Yeah, so that's the way to gain a couple of positions from your race start.
Yeah, very easy way to do so. And again, it is just coming down to making the most of other drivers' mistakes and their mishaps and them running wide, similar to how Mackenzie Roon got ahead of David Holland in the opening moments of the race. And now, of course, they did swap. Again, I have to say, I'm surprised Mackenzie Roon didn't fight it hard enough, because at this stage in the season, yeah, we're only 2 rounds in, but you've seen enough of David Holland to know he's a threat. And obviously, he then put it on pole position for this race. Why wouldn't Mackenzie Roon fight it so hard? Like, I don't understand. I'm trying to wrap my head around this. He's got himself into the lead. He's then got in track position and then just allows David Holland the door open to find his way past.
Yeah, and I'm going to go back to have a look at the replay of the start from that too. Let's have a look at the replay from Mackenzie Roon's. You see, better launch. You can see your car just to the left-hand side is David. And they go down to turn 1. That's not what the problem is, isn't it? There is the problem. On the outside. Almost loses that a place there to the Alex Rivera, I think that is in P3. So that is that, and let's have a look at the race start there from David Holland's point of view here. We'll stay on board from pole position here. No, it's very much to the right hand side is Mackenzie Roon. So where is it here, Zach, where he goes a little bit too deep to this corner?
Turn 2. So he turns in, just gets a wash of oversteer, another twitch again, cold tyres, I suppose, and then just runs himself way too wide, potentially expecting Mackenzie Roon to send the move a bit more. It then puts him on the outside going through 3 and 4 right here at the chicane. And then Mackenzie Roon has taken control at this point. No way through as it stands for David Holland. So Mackenzie Roon was able to seize control of the race. Again, I'm just surprised why he didn't keep control of the race. David Holland now obviously probably wasn't too phased by that. It's easy as a driver on pole position to, fall victim to that. Oh my God, I've lost pole position. My race pace isn't good. Panic, and then you tumble down. But David Holland is confident. He knows how good he is, and he was then able to pick up the pieces, say, right, it's fine. I've made a mistake. That's cool. That's cool. I can live with that. And then straight away he was back onto it, back on composure, and was like, okay, how can I reclose this gap? How can I get myself back in front and move his way up into the race lead?
You said it right. So it looks like McAllister's gone into pit road. Seth MacFarlane has crashed. I think you said this all the time. Is that no reference to the Family Guy? Oh no. And this is a retirement as well. So what's happened to... Oh, this was... sorry, this was right at the start of the race, actually. Yep, just completely pulled off to the side and retired the session. That explains what happened to Seth. Probably a technical issue or something I'd have to say there, Zach. Did that to happen?
Yeah, or maybe a lack of fuel. Obviously, in Formula 3 cars, they obviously have their reduced fuel tank. Maybe didn't put enough in and then just decided to give up with it. Or, as you say, a monitor turned off, a wheel disconnect or anything like that.
Cat's jumped on your screen. Oh,
yeah, cat's tripped over the wire or anything like that. I remember when I was doing some league racing stuff back in a few years ago, my dog ran under my pedals and caused me to crash out. and start from the back. Colin McAllister is probably going to try and blame that one on the dog. Unfortunately, getting over himself over the curb, unstabilising the rear. Similar to really what we saw from George Russell this year in Montreal.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Just carrying too much speed in, over the curb, and then tries to get on the throttle a bit too early. And the car snaps back and puts him in the wall.
Yeah, uncharacteristic there from George Russell. You'd kind of have to go, that was a Nicholas moment, wasn't it? Poor Nicholas. Used to be the one that's been binning it every once in a while. But Nicholas Latifi no longer, of course, is racing in Formula One, even with $1 billion funding from his family, and a billionaire child in Formula One. Son, shall we say. Got to have some money, don't you there, Zach, to be racing at the top there? Most of the time you do.
Yeah, well, it's a combination of money and talent. And they're usually quite a directly proportional thing. The more talent you have, sometimes the less money you need. And then the less talent you have, the more money you need. So it's sort of a more of one, less of the other sort of thing. They're sort of inversely proportional.
He did good.
So if you double one, you have to halve
understand,
another.
didn't they?
Yeah, of course.
Your Formula 2s and Formula 3s and stuff like that. You still have to get your way through there. It's the same thing with Lance
You've
Stroll.
got to be a good driver, yeah, 100%. I mean, Lance Stroll, he's a decent driver, and he's still young, and has we have to remember he came into Formula 1 at 17, similar to sort of Max Verstappen, and got a podium in his debut season. He's not a bad driver, and even the bad ones, right, of maybe Nick de Vries, there's a spin in the background, Nick de Vries, Nicholas Latifi, Sergei Sirotkin, those types of people, relative to F1, sure, they're maybe not on the pace, but you put them into a road car, they're actually going to do quite well. They're going to be fast drivers. They know how to drive. They are still very successful drivers. Otherwise, they wouldn't be able to handle the speeds of a Formula 1 car. Andy Yeager, unfortunately, not quite able to handle the no ABS to the rear brakes of these Formula 3 cars into the hairpin. But yeah, they're still good drivers, and you can see that Nikita Mazepin, albeit maybe a little bit unclean in his LMP2 career, was still fighting towards the front, showcasing that he is a good driver, just demonstrating the skill level that you actually do need to be very competitive in a Formula 1 car. Model E's Kiko under a bit of pressure from the boss man himself, Brian Long, trying to close the gap and have a good little fight for sixth.
Yeah, careful with the boss. 3 retirements of the drivers. Once again, I was never racing. It's interesting. Let us know out there your thoughts in the chat there about any particular driver that you've seen through the career there, if they've had luck of there with the financing, any particular favours, any particular moments of drivers, etc., etc. As we are looking over the rear wing there of Elisa's lovely livery there. She's trying to hold off, as she said, boss man, Brian Long. Doing a good job. Mod's not she's a very good defensive driver. You see this throughout the season. She does not make it easy for anyone to get past her. You have to get it past the hard way. So we'll see what Brian can do, if Brian can get the job done. So we'll see. After a short commercial break, don't go anywhere. Of course not. It's live. We don't need commercial breaks. Don't send it around there, Brian. No way. Oh,
she's round.
And she's around, just as I think I've commentated cursed poor Mod, saying she's not going to be easy to get around, and just like that, she has a little bit of a spin around.
Yeah, you say commentators curse.
No, that's right.
Don't take responsibility for skill issues, right? It's not your problem, right? It's fine. She's made a mistake. She's had the skill issue. She can take responsibility for that. It's not your problem. Commentators coincidence. There's only bad luck or bad driving, usually a combination of the two. So no tinfoil hats at the moment. Again, we're commentators. We're not psychics. We're not genies. We don't grant wishes and things. If so, David Holland, crash out now. And if he does, if he crashes out in the next 3 corners, I will hold my hand up and say the commentator's curse is real. But he won't. And this is unfortunately how Model E's Kiko found herself facing the wrong way. Just off the brakes too quickly, turned the car in, the weight distribution was all over the place, and around she went. Unfortunately, it is as easy as that. It's a tricky corner, it's a tricky circuit here at the circuit Gilles Villeneuve. And look at that, David Holland still pointing the right way, and still 5.5 seconds clear.
I'm not pointing the camera on him, so that's, no, there's elements at play. You can't just talk about the driver. We're not doing our radio cast, unfortunately, because we didn't have the pictures earlier. I'd have to be on board with David, and we have to then really throw out the ace cards of
all right. Go on board with him. Go on board with him for the next 10 seconds, and I will say David Holland is going to crash it. He will not crash it. I can guarantee it.
What are you gonna bet? You're gonna guarantee it?
I'll bet a fiver. I'll bet the money I make off this
$5
broadcast.
to a charity.
There we go.
No,
Sure, let's do it. If
I'm
he
not.
does,
I'm
if he
not.
does,
Like I'm not feeling like I'm casting cursing energy just yet. But we'll see. See when I feel like it.
Oh, so you got to charge up. You got to
Tank
get the energy
slapper.
for it.
Yes, you do. It's like a superhero power, you know. You deploy it when you feel you're ready to deploy it. It's like you're harvesting energy, the hybrid systems, and you hit
Flat
that.
Earth theory makes more sense than the commentator's curse. I'm sorry.
All right.
Yeah, there's no two ways about it. Yeah. All right.
So
anyway.
Jaeger's in the pit road as well, maybe to repair that damage that he had from that accident before. They're really venturing close to that wall, isn't it? The Wall of Champions hasn't really been that much of an issue, just the entry to the Wall of Champions you saw before, but not the exit. That turn before that one, Zach, that's the one that's been, as you can clearly see, engaged with on the tyres.
Yeah. Again, obviously, with it being a semi-permanent street circuit here at Montreal, you know, it's tight, it's twisty, there are a lot of rules around, and to go quick, you have to get sometimes as close to them as you possibly can. Push the limits, like we'll see here from Carsten Keane. I think people know the threat of the Wall of Champions. I mean, even then he got quite close. But people know how dangerous the Wall of Champions is, so they naturally try and stay as far away from it as possible. The rest of the track really is fair game. So they're just trying to stay as close as they can. Very dirty visor for Carsten Keane. I hope he's got a button mapped for his visor tear-offs. There it is.
He just must have used
ripping
it
off
then.
the layer.
Look,
Yeah, he must have. And then just ripped it off. Get a new one on. I remember when I used to do
Commentator's
the
curse right
racing.
there. See, we went on board.
No.
And then it happened.
That was me. That was the commentators. I don't even know. It's something. Yeah. It was good timing, is what it was. Carsten Keane was ripping off his visor. Can now see more. I remember when I was doing the Formula 4 stuff on iRacing. I used to. I still would love driving that car if I was willing to dump as much money into iRacing as some people and still have my simulator. Basically, every other corner was me tearing off another strip because I just hated having even a small speck of dust on my visor. So I'll just get rid of it. And I think Carsten Keane's got a similar mentality to that, albeit he's letting his visor get a little bit dirtier than I would let mine. But there it is.
This is great. I love seeing it. Yeah, you're right. I love seeing this perspective. And you can even see that really annoying antenna that's there. Now, there would be a good way for these drivers to adjust to it. Now, I don't know whether or not the antenna could be disabled or not. I know that you can disable the halo. The antenna is almost like a halo in the middle, isn't it? Right in your field of view. Because you can't even barely see when you are following the car up the road there. It will cover the whole gearbox. Almost covered right there, see? So it kind of gives you a bit of alignment up, isn't it? All right, I'll line that straight to the rear gearbox of the car, and I know I'm centered. Great racing once again. See, yeah, Alex Rivera doing a very good job to try to defend the triple turn machine up 3 positions. I love it. It's this perspective that gives you an indication of how difficult it is to drive these machines because those walls take absolutely no prisoners.
They do not, and they will chew up and spit you out. We've got the Whitfields now back into the YouTube chat. It's been a long time since I've seen the names. We've got Shayla, Susan, I think, also comes in quite often. We've got the fiancé, the sister, and the mother-in-law, I think, are the people that come in and join us. So, obviously, welcome into the Whitfield family tree. And saying I'm basically being Mystic Meg. No, I'm just not an idiot. No, I'm joking. I don't want to shame people because in an industry where it's beneficial to have friends, I'm not very good at making them, and I've just insulted probably half of the commentary community. So they're not idiots, they're just misinformed. Guy Kiao, unfortunately, unable to stop himself. Well, to be fair, he was able to stop himself from hitting the barrier, but not able to stop himself from losing time. The Benelux driver losing a position and then able to continue on. He's fighting for top 10, and about a couple of seconds up the road is Petter Vedding. Dan Whitfield, however, making a bit of a mistake in his pursuit of Brian Long.
Yeah, just like that. There, so we're talking about the Wall of Champions, were we? Nobody was into it yet. Almost went into it. As Phil says, it's like a rifle sight to use for cornering. Yeah, I was actually thinking about that. See, Phil, great minds think alike. The words couldn't come to my mouth from my brain. There it is. Well, there's Whitfield. So Dan the man. You got your audience out there. Now, Dan, no, I'm not going to use my commentating curse up on you. Won't get Zachary started about that, so fine. Zachary. How many Christmas cards do you think you're getting from all the commentators around the world?
Probably not many. Yeah, I don't have many. Actually, no, I've got a few commentating friends, and obviously quote the in between his lines of "ooh, commentary friends, all you like, that's fine, do whatever you like." I've got a couple, but yeah, probably not as many as I could have, and the drivers as well. I do like to slate some of the drivers. I remember literally just this week when I did the JPB GT4s. There is now a channel where we're trying to start up a TikTok and get sort of bloopers and good times and bad times and whatever, and upload them for all of you to see. There is now the entirety of that channel that we've got in order to get links and stuff is me. One of them is for MX5s. The others, there are now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 clips of me being incredibly harsh to certain people, and yeah, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. It's a reputation I've got now, so I'll try and own it, yeah, we'll see how many Christmas cards I get and how good of a Christmas I do end up having, which, by the way, is in just over 4 months' time, which is disgusting because we are already halfway through the 8th month of the year. That is vile. And August is so much later on in the year than I've always seen it as. August for me is like a June or a July, but no, it's the 8th month of the year, which is vile. I've got Phil going to send me a Christmas card as well, by the way.
It will. Yes, it is. It's getting tight. Don't remind me, my friend. I was going to try to see if I can get my butt back to spend Christmas with my parents and my family. I haven't seen in ages, so yeah, you're reminding me about the inevitable. Not quite sure I'm going to get everything sorted out in time for that one. Plus also flights and all that jazz are 10 times more expensive during that period. Skip a month and they're half price. Anyway, that's enough about me. Here's some more about Carson Keane. Wanting to get that every single time. You can't hear it. We can hear it up in the casting box. The audience, the fans, trackside go crazy when they see Mr. Keane driving around the corners and they're part of the track. You can take this one back from Alex Rivera, who stole that one a little earlier in the show.
Only got we're already into lap 21 of 30 now, so ticking our way through thick and fast through these lap times. Obviously a shorter circuit-ish around the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. It's only 4.5 kilometers in length, 2.7 miles for those in Freedom units over in the US of A. And well, we've got a handful of laps left to go into the final third. Carson Keane still fighting away with Alex Rivera at 4P3. The fight for the lead has dissipated and has completely been shattered by David Holland, who has run away and is on course for a third win in a row. But yeah, Carson Keane, he's still giving Alex Rivera a good fight. Of course, Rivera is able to find his way past a few laps to go and has started his pursuit to Mackenzie Roon, albeit in about 10 laps time he's only been able to gain 0.3 of a second. So that might be on hold for a little while. I think Carson Keane is in for the long run. I think he's waiting to see for as long as possible if they are able to get themselves into that fight with Mackenzie Roon. Because for Carson Keane, he can fight with Alex Rivera and he might get a podium. It's a 50-50 chance. Or they can close the gap to Mackenzie Roon, and then there's 2 spaces on the podium available, which bumps his chances up to 66.6 recurring % chance of maybe finding himself on the podium. So it's more beneficial for him, really, to follow Alex Rivera and see if they can maybe get both of them onto the podium.
I like the 66.6% recurring, yes. And quickly back to what you were talking about, Zach. I say Zach be Zach, If people agree or disagree with some of the remarks that you commentate on, that's fine. I think that's a part of the style. I know that you're a huge fan of oval racing and a lot of the US tracks and things like that. So yeah, you be yourself for that. At the moment, we are watching David Holland, so there it is. So if you want to throw those commentating coincidences out, welcome to
He's going to
Throw 'em
spin.
Thick and Fast.
He's going to
right
crash. He's going to put himself in the wall, and he's playing with us, isn't he? Look, he's going sideways. He's getting a bit of a slide on. He's going to crash into this next apex. David Holland is going to bottle the race lead. If he does that, I will baptize myself in the name of the commentary curses. He didn't, so I won't. He's still going on. He's still perfectly fine because he does not care what I'm saying in the commentary booth. And yeah, he's out there doing what he does best.
Spot the apex actually perfect there on Lapping. Goes right, uses the maximum amount of track as possible to keep the car as straight as possible so you get the power down as quickly as possible. So I could possibly use possible one more time in a sentence or in a paragraph now. and just desperately try and get the moment, see if David Holland's going to not make a mistake. Here he goes through here, full speed. Look at that. That is, that I was going to say, that was almost a perfect way. Carried a ton of speed through there, almost clipped the wall, almost let our casting cursings come alive, but no. Yeah, well, if he's not listening to us, my friend, or caring about what we say, then how come he's playing with his food a little bit too much?
Yeah, well, can't blame him. He's probably looking around his window, thinking what he's going to have for food when he's all done. What snack he's going to have to round off the... Well, I suppose it's afternoon for them. It started at 3 p.m. Eastern, so it depends where in the USA he is. But yeah, his afternoon snack, his evening snack, whatever he wants to go for. Model E's Kiko makes her way down into pit lane for her mandatory stop. Who between Alexander Rivera and Carson Keane are going to be the first to blink either? And maybe that could be Alexander Rivera's chance to build a bit of a gap, because if he's got the pace measure over Carson Keane, a lap where the Canadian isn't in his slipstream, might be able to see him build a bit of a gap, maybe over a second and out of that slipstream range. But for now, Carson Keane not interested in leaving him alone at all. And well, there you can see Ridgway made his way on lap 14, so quite a while ago. Model E's Kiko and Petter Vedding make theirs on lap 23. And then we'll continue on with just a splash of fuel, because strategy not overly important in this championship. It's more just making sure you've got enough fuel to get to the end.
Yep, just need that little bit of gasoline to get the job done in the end. Yep, splash and dash might be just enough. Holland's gap of 12 seconds at the moment to P2 should not be a problem as long as you don't make any errors going to pit road, of course, making sure you stick to the speed limit. It's a straight, fast entrance, remember, to it as you get out of the casino straight. You don't have to go through all the champions, you go straight into pit road. It's one of those tracks, kind of like Monza and a few others, where you do carry a lot of speed in there, so you have to definitely make sure you get the car slowed down there and not get a drive-through penalty.
Yeah. Because it's easily done, especially at, of course, CGB, because obviously, as you were saying, it's a straight line in, which means you essentially are just having to pick a braking point for it. And when you've got a car in front of you, that's easier said than done, because you're obviously braking a lot later than they are, because they're trying to make a corner, you're not. And then it can often end in a couple of issues. I remember commentating on the Formula Sim Racing World Championship a few weeks ago when they came to Montreal. And a couple of the RAG cars of Liam Duval and Adam Maguire, they obviously had a couple of issues because they overestimated their speed, and they overestimated the speed of the cars in front of them. They underestimated their own speed, and then ended up having a couple of dinks and close calls going into the pit lane. So you have got to be very, very careful making your way through and making sure that you don't get yourself that very crucial drive-through penalty, because it's easily done, and can be quite a disastrous moment for your race.
You just go up to race control and go, well, hang on. You didn't specify, it doesn't say it on the sign. Is it if it's mile per hour or if it's kilometers per hour, as you like to say, or freedom units? So that's what I would be arguing on race control, as Carson Keane does head into the pit road at the moment for his scheduled stop. He'll drop a position. So keep an eye on that track map as you're going to see him zooming on by. And Mackenzie Roon's gone in too. Where's Mackenzie? Just stopped in the box right now. Actually, Mackenzie Roon went in a little bit quicker. In and out. Don't run into the safety car, which you can drive through apparently in iRacing. So much attention to detail in iRacing, it's all put on the tracks. Not so much into the graphics and things like that occur down in the pit road. You don't see the lollipop crew and all that. If you want all that fanciness, go download yourself the Formula 1 game or something like that. But this is all about the simulation of the track, the grip, marbles, tires, the performance and all that jazz. And obviously rain hopefully lurking in the background for the future.
Yeah, looking forward to rain on iRacing actually, because it has been teased a couple of times. The thing with iRacing is obviously they're not going to half-heartedly do it. They're not going to, people won't rain, so we'll just throw some clouds in, get some wet weather in, and they can have that. Now, they're going to spend a long time making sure they get it right, hopefully with some dynamic weather and, moving weather where the clouds affect different parts of the track, so it's not just the whole track that is affected. David Holland makes his way into the pit lane, because imagine a race at the Nordschleife where you've got the first part that's wet, you've got another bit that's bone dry, and then another bit that's, a little bit damp because the clouds are moving around the track and raining on different bits. That would really open the door for some interesting strategy. So hopefully iRacing go for that approach. and hopefully we can see some great wet weather driving in iRacing. I think it's going to be a big learning curve though, and maybe for the first couple of weeks there's going to be a lot of safety rating being killed because people are not quite accustomed to the wet weather driving just yet, but very accustomed to his dry running is David Holland. He exits the pit lane. He finds himself still retaining that over 10-second gap back to Mackenzie Roon. Alex Rivera versus Carson Keane, though. That's going to be close on the exit. Alex Rivera just able to emerge ahead, albeit alongside the Canadian who's trying to get himself onto the podium here at home, but no way through for now. Alex Rivera able to get himself ahead, albeit a very good effort from Carson Keane.
Yeah, he's going to be tucked up in the gearbox once again, so both trying that different strategy on the pit stops to see if they could do something about it. Couldn't, but it's close. And now Carson Keane, with limited time on his side, can try to impress, of course, the 50,000 Canadian fans watching this race right now, watching the third race live of the season here in Canada on the James Perfect Broadcasting Network. Here we go.
Carson Keane to the left-hand side. He's trying to move his way the long way around at the hairpin. Alex Rivera, of course, going to give him the squeeze and not go down easy. Outside line for the number 5 machine. He's got the entire support of the entire virtual crowd here at Montreal. Carson Keane still unable to find a way past, but a long straight towards the next chicane. Alex Rivera weaving his way, trying to break the slipstream as best he can. Carson Keane might have another look into the chicane. Defensive already goes Alex Rivera. You can see a bit of a left-right move there, a bit of a shuffle from Keane trying to find the inside line, but this time he's gone to the left. He's the outside run for the chicane. He's going to try it. He goes wide, and well, unfortunately, he's going to have to wait at least a couple of laps to reclose that gap and get himself back into the fight.
That's a lot to catch up now, isn't it? A lot. It's going to be a little gut wrenching, but you just got to put your mind back into it, get back into the spirit of the pace that you had. Replay of the situation here, goes into deep right. Has to does the right thing, not completely turn into it. That could have probably forced himself into a spin. Just going to lose yourself, of course, about a second and change now, but you're still in it and not out of the fence too. Not in the fence. I was trying to say. Yeah, 1.5 there, Zach.
Yeah, it's a big gap. I'm sure Keane might be able to close it a little bit, but his tyres will be hot, he'll be frustrated, and that is all going to play a factor into his efficiency at driving the car as effectively as possible. You can see here David Holland moving his way past one of the lap cars. That's of course of Guy Kiao, and very easily finds his way to lap another of, the first of the drivers that are still in the race. And of course he's lapped Colin McAllister, Angelico McFarland, and of course Dean Hopton as well, who have all not taken to the track or haven't completed the full amount of laps. But Guy Kiao becomes the first driver on merit that David Holland has been able to find his way past, and well, just going to show his sheer amount of dominance in just a 45-ish minute race. He's found his way to lap a driver, and that's no disrespect to Guy Kiao. Again, he's a decent driver, but David Holland is just that much quicker and head and shoulders above the rest. You have to beg the question, Dean, is he going to get beaten at some time this season?
It's possible if, you know, if he's human, if he's really human and makes a mistake. Yes. So that's also one thing. But remember too, he's got a 6.1 I rating, and some of the drivers out there have the 1100. You know, my I rating at the moment is 1350. I didn't realize I've never driven a single track. So there you go. I've actually got a better I rating than some of the other drivers on here. That goes to show you how much the I rating you take seriously, because I guarantee you, Peter Heving, that he has an I rating of 1116, which is less than mine, but that guy's 50 times quicker than me. So, go figure. It only really comes to effect, doesn't it? Get a really high I rating, because it's very hard to keep up around 6K, 7Ks, and then you're a machine, you're in the 8Ks and 9Ks.
Oh yeah, and now we're up to 11.5K, I think the top guys are. Of course, we had 10K Beneke of Maximilian Beneke, who has now actually given himself another accolade. He won the ESL R1 Gamers 8 Championship in Saudi Arabia over the course of the last couple of weeks, and adds to his tally of accolades. So there we go. That's, you know, if you get good at iRacing, maybe you can go and do other stuff. And Maximilian Beneke obviously doing a great job in other avenues of racing. Also, here's Dan Whitfield. Has he been able to do well in all avenues of racing. Into the hairpin, a small twitch, and you could see it was coming from a mile away. Pitches the car in, albeit not being able to keep a very high minimum speed up, spinning the car around, and then brings it back onto the circuit to full racing speed. But yeah, you've got the likes of Beneker, you've got, who else has got quite a high rating? A couple of the Williams guys, I think, are up there in the 9 and 10Ks as well. Because, yeah, well, the game's been up for since 2009, so what's that, 14 years since iRacing came out. So they've had plenty of opportunity to build their iRating, but yeah, still a couple of people who could maybe get themselves into some more official sessions and move their way forward. But David Holland about to start his final lap of the race, and he's got Petter Vedding just ahead of him to lap. And well, Vedding is in a bit of a no man's land, so maybe the Norwegian will happily allow Holland through as to not have to complete another lap. No, don't do it. That would make James very, very happy to see those blue flags or not situation. So there he is there. Everything's got the... We did confirm in the interview. That's a Star Wars thing. I know you've never seen Star Wars before, but I think he has. That's the Rebel, I think, logo. Somebody help me confirm that one out there. Yeah, saw the spin there from Uncle Daniel. Uncle Dan the man, Jacob said. Who currently at the moment is running a P7, 2 positions lost. As you said, Barney's waved the white flag, and let's see if you can force David into a crash with your commentator cursing. Oh, coincidence. Let's see. Yes. Again, if I say it and it happens, I'm just good at my job because I know what's going to happen. But it's not because I've said it that's going to happen. I don't strike them down with a magic hammer and force them into a spin. Unfortunately, that's not how it works. Otherwise, plenty of boring races I would have turned very interesting just with speaking it. Yeah, I don't have magic powers. I wish I would, as I say, but I don't. We are onto the final lap. David Holland has, of course, got Petter Vedding just ahead of him and will cruise his way to yet another victory this season. It's turning into a bit of a repeat from the real-life Formula 1, although David Holland isn't from the Netherlands. He's got Holland as his last name, so I suppose there is a form of the Dutchness in him, whether he likes it or not. He has shown some incredibly dominant pace and sees that again once more in Canada. It's David Holland, who from pole position lost the lead at the start, but he weaves his way across the line, and the number 18 machine takes his 3rd victory in a row here at the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. It's David Holland on the top step. Mackenzie Roon at 13 seconds back will take 2nd, followed by Alexander Rivera. Unfortunately for Carson Keane, he's not been able to pick his way up and take a home podium. You can see in the background there the multiple-time race winner, Alexander Rivera, across the line. The 222 rounds off the podium here in Canada after what has been a very interesting display of racing action in Montreal. Robert Ridgway will round off the top 5 in a decent display of performance for him, albeit down a position from his starting. That's because Alexander Rivera has had some sensational race pace. 30 laps of racing in the books, and round 3 of the Sim Racing for Simpletons Formula 3 Championship, and that goes with it. Excellent. There's a bit of a gap there for me. You can see between most of the drivers on an average of about 6 to 10 seconds. There's Mod, as she did gain a position in this race, but she probably wanted to get a little bit more than that with only one. Here's Andy Jager for the Dutch sim racing team. And he had a little bit of a couple of moments during the race, but still come inside the top 10. 20 seconds and change down the road. To see on the track map, just coming across the line now. And here's Pete, the Norwegian driver, also having a little bit of issue earlier in this race. Getting it done. I suppose he's got the orange in that car actually, and not the red and blue and white for the Norwegian flag colours. But then again, anything you like. And that's it for the motor race. David has done it again, and done it in style. He has. And just showing how good he is, because, yeah, Mackenzie Room was able to get himself ahead, but as soon as Holland was able to get himself in front, it's 13.5 seconds at the end of the race. He's lapped a couple of drivers for good measure as well. Mackenzie Roon, Alexander Rivera 2 and 3, with Carson Keane and Robert Ridgway the top 5. Then comes Brian Long with a good race in 6th. Then comes down in Whitfield and Modley's Kiko, an uncharacteristic race outside of the top 5, followed by Andy Yeager and Petter Vedding the top 10. Guy Kiao becomes the last of our drivers to take to the checkered flag, albeit a lap down on the race leader. Colin McAllister, Dominic Angelico, Seth MacFarlane, all of those that did not make it to the end of this race. quite a ways down with their own incidents and spins and technical difficulties along the way here for round number 3. We have got a couple of drivers waiting in the waiting room, so we'll drag them in. First up, we've got Alexander Rivera, who gave us a nice tour around the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve when we came here last season. And this season, he's been able to replicate some of that success with a P3. Nice return to the championship.
Yeah, thank you. Definitely a lot better than my last round that I could attend. But I mean, still, Mackenzie and David, they had a hell of a race. Amazing pace by David and Mackenzie. Tried my best to try and catch Mackenzie there at the end, but man, he's quick.
Yeah, they all are. That's the caliber of driving that we've got. But yeah, a good little battle with Carson Keane, and well defended in the end for you to rob the home hero of a podium.
Yeah, I haven't been able to see what happened there at the end. I was probably being a little bit too brave and tried to go too wide into that last chicane. So not entirely sure what happened. I just saw that he either spun or something, lost some time. But so hopefully nothing bad happened to him.
In the end, he was fine. He just managed to carry on and finished, I think, 4 and a bit seconds behind you at the flag. In a week's time, Alex, will go to Brands Hatch. So we'll take a trip, of course, into the UK, unfortunately for you. But a brilliant circuit nonetheless to round off the halfway circuit of the season. How are you feeling about Brands Hatch? Because it is a mega circuit.
It's been a while since I've been to Brands Hatch, but the last time that I was there, I had a good bit of pace. So hopefully I can replicate that, and I'm just out here for a good race. So. And this series always provides that, so I'm excited for it.
Of course. Well, before we let you go, is there anyone you want to give a shout out to?
Yeah, of course. I mean, shout out to everybody, you guys putting on this league and broadcasting it. Mackenzie, I mean, he's my teammate this season, and he's super quick. He's been up there, at least competing with David more than I can, at least. And man, David, he's doing an incredible job up there. He's untouchable at the moment. So yeah, thank you guys.
Awesome. Well, take care, Alex, and hopefully we'll see you back in a week's time.
Have a good one.
Ciao, ciao. Thank you to Alex Rivera. Next up, of course, we'll bring in Modely's Kiko after what has been, unfortunately, not the race for you to write home about. I mean, I know you said your feelings at Suzuka about the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, but not quite able to continue your very consistent run inside the top 5.
Well, if everyone's going to not crash in front of me, what am I going to do?
That's true. That's true.
No, I'm actually really happy because looking at my lap times, that was better than I was predicting as far as total race time, except for that one spin, which was a little bit of an issue because I just came in a bit too fast, and I realised that I could either kill Brian or spin out, and so I thought, well, Brian's had enough bad luck this season. I'll give him the corner.
So chivalrous. Very nice of you. Very, very nice of you. But yeah, overall, a decent race, it must be said. Still, decent points in 8th place. But in the championship, I mean, I think you're still going to leave here in 4th place. Are you looking to retain that 4th place in the championship?
Oh, well, we'll see how it goes. I mean, we've got more drivers in this time round, and they seem to be in the top half that they've joined in it with of course, David and Robert. Sort of pushing me down a little bit, but yeah, we'll see. There's always mistakes to take advantage of, which seems to be a bit of my specialty. So roll on Brands. I like a bit of Brands, and people make mistakes there. So let's go.
Yeah, it is a tricky circuit, of course, on home turf as well. So you should be looking to impress. But before we let you go, Mod, is there anyone you want to give a shout out to?
I'm actually going to give a shout out to Brian. What a great race. He kept me under pressure for that first half, and then that pressure paid off for him. And he had a great race today. So, yeah, no spins for him. What's that all about?
Yeah, awesome. It's almost like he had someone else driving for him. Very much a big thank you to you, Mod, and hopefully we'll see you back in a week's time.
Thank you. Take care.
Awesome, and you. Next up, we'll drag in 2nd place driver, Mackenzie Roon, into the commentary booth. And Mackenzie, it was a good start initially, getting yourself into the race lead, but David Holland, he burst his way up the inside, and, well, 2nd was the best you could muster up to date.
Yeah, once again, congrats to David. Just unbeatable pace. You got to be something else to catch him. So, but yeah, it was fun getting out there in front off the bat. I don't know if he maybe made a mistake or was just a little too conservative there on T2. But I jumped at the chance to be ahead of him for a couple laps. So that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, and obviously when he did go for the move, you didn't put up too big of a fight against him. Was there any particular reason for that? Were you not expecting the move, or did you just think it wasn't worth fighting?
Yeah, 100% not worth fighting. Mainly my battle was with Alex and Carson behind. I think I had about maybe 3 seconds on them, maybe not even that much at the time. So for me to try to fight that, especially going into that chicane, would have been probably unwise.
Potentially, yeah. And obviously in the championship fight, David Holland is very quick, but you're not a million miles away from him in the championship if you keep it as 1 and 2. You know, there's a gap that could potentially still be bridged. I suppose you're trying to maximise your points all at the end of the day. Do you think he's catchable? Do you think you can go for 2 and 2 in terms of the championships?
I think it's possible. It's going to have to be the right track. Maybe he's going to have to make a mistake at some point. And my goal is to just be there when it happens. Not wishing ill will on anybody, but it's got to happen at some point. So I'm going to try to be, as consistent as possible.
Does help. And in a week's time, of course, Brands Hatcher, already been said, is a very difficult circuit. Do you think maybe that could be the one to bite him?
You never know. I mean, that track can get anybody with those blind sweeping turns. Yeah, I got no predictions. I'm just going to do a lot of practice.
Go fast, easy peasy, and then come out on top. Fingers crossed. Mackenzie, thank you very much. Before we let you go, is there anyone you want to give a shout out to in the YouTube chat?
No, thanks for the broadcast. Love them always. Love your channel.
Awesome. Thank you very much for joining us. Hopefully we'll see you back in a week's time.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Take care, Mackenzie. And next up, of course, our race winner 3 times in a row now, David Holland. You, my good sir, are on absolute fire. Did you not fancy slowing down at all today, or was it just guns a-blazing, try and win as by as much as you can?
Hey, Zach. I mean, Mackenzie made me work for it there at the beginning. Didn't really get a great start, and then just could not get the thing turned into turn 2. And so, yeah, I mean, after that, I was kind of struggling to keep up with them for a bit, and then finally the tires came in, and I started feeling a little bit more comfortable, and then just tried to be as consistent as I could and make it to the end. this track can be very unforgiving, so just trying to keep it off the walls.
Keep it off the walls and still finish 15 seconds ahead, just as you do. Casual Saturday drive for you. Well, that now makes it 3 wins in a row for you, David. I mean, in a week's time, we'll go to Brands Hatch. Are you feeling confident? Can you make it 4 and 4?
We'll see. That track's going to be interesting. Actually, me and Mackenzie were just talking about it, and it's been a while since I've raced there, but I think it's going to be a really fun track to drive. I'm not sure how well it's going to race, so I think qualifying and getting off to a good start is going to be really important there. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Do you think you can go for all 8 wins in a row, or at some point are you expecting yourself to make a mistake?
I'll make a mistake. I always make a mistake. I almost threw it away today on the last lap. I don't know what I was doing. Just a little lapse in concentration. I actually smacked the wall coming out of whatever it is, turn 3 or 4. But luckily it held together to make it the rest of the lap. So I'll definitely make a mistake.
All right, I'm sure Mackenzie Roon will be loving it the moment that you do, for him to finally capitalise and see himself with some race winning victory. Mackenzie? About to call you Mackenzie then? No, David Holland, thank you very much for joining us. And before we let you go, is there anyone you want to give a shout out to?
Yeah, thanks. Appreciate it, guys. Yeah, thanks to y'all for the broadcast. Thanks to Brian for putting together the league, and my team, Delta Sport. Thanks, guys.
Awesome. Take care. See you next week. David Holland then, 3-time race winner now for this championship. He is on fire, Dean, and still sounds very confident about the rest of the season, as do the Mackenzie Roons and Alex Rivera's as well. We should hopefully be in for some barnstorming action in a week's time.
I hope so, yeah. And he's unstoppable, isn't he? Doing a Max Verstappen thing. As he said, he almost threw it away in the last lap. That's because we were talking about him. Was it here? There. It was, right there. You're looking at that replay. That's the one where he comes up against the wall. So, yeah, it almost worked. You can see the rear end sliding, wiggling a little bit there. That's the white flap lag, like the last lag before he gets the checkered flag. But the main thing is, of course, he got the checkered flag, and he got it ahead of everybody else. So, you want to wrap it up there, Zach?
Yeah. David Holland wins round number 3 of the Sim Racing for Simpletons Formula 3 Championship. Season number 2 saw us take to the circuit Gilles Villeneuve here in Montreal, Canada. There you can see the results from our 30-lap race around the streets of Canada. My name has been Zach Sweeney. I've had Dean Biggles alongside me in the commentary booth. We thank everyone at home for watching along on the JP Broadcasting YouTube channel. Make sure you have liked, subscribe, turn the bell on for notifications as well to not miss a single thing that comes your way in terms of sim racing, because we have got everything under the sun. We've got GT4s, Clios, touring cars, Single seaters, NASCARs, whatever tickles your fancy, there is a home for you here. So make sure you are staying up to date with everything and basically become a Phil. He's in every single broadcast, no matter what it is, without fail. So yeah, if you want some great sim racing action, definitely do become a Phil. Unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to round off our coverage here today for the SR4S. We will be back in a week's time, though, August 19th, to round off the halfway point of Season 2. We'll take to Brands Hatch, but in the meantime, take care, and we'll see you then. Bye-bye.